I will show you how to take back the reins of your inner peace in just 5 steps of clarity, teaching your soul to no longer accept less than it deserves. If you don't learn to say no today, the weight of what you tolerate now will be the chain that prevents your flight tomorrow. The cost of normalizing what destroys you is your very identity. Through the wisdom we've accumulated over years of observing human behavior and the universal laws of consciousness, we have decoded the secret of those who live in fulfillment. Perhaps you feel that setting boundaries is being selfish or aggressive, but the truth is that a boundary is the greatest expression of love you can offer to yourself and the world. We begin now, with a shift in perception that takes less time than a breath, but which will echo throughout your entire spiritual journey. Perhaps you are going through a moment where everything seems meaningless, a weariness that is not of the body, but of the soul that feels diminished. We need to speak about spirituality and self-knowledge through a raw lens. Your current reality is a mirror of what you have allowed until now. We live in a universe of frequencies, and the frequency of accepting the mediocre is a noise that drowns out the voice of your being. If you want a new reflection, we need to change what you allow into the frame of your existence. This is a journey of awakening consciousness to understand that the acceptable can be your greatest poison. Your life is not a reflection of your potential, it is a reflection of your standard of tolerance. As the Master Eckhart Tolle taught, presence requires us to be honest with the now. If you accept crumbs, whether in affection, work, or friendship, your spiritual table will never be full. What you accept today is exactly what will hold you back tomorrow. Often, we seek great miracles, but we forget that inner transformation resides in what we stop normalizing. If you tolerate someone's constant lateness, lack of effort, or people who put you down, you are signing a contract of invisibility with the universe. Real change doesn't come just from the desire for something better, but from the courage to look at what you haven't cut away yet. And as we look at what needs to be cut, we understand that this gesture is not a declaration of war against the world, but the foundation of an inner sanctuary. It is here that the act of setting boundaries stops being a burden and becomes the fence that protects your sacred garden. There is a myth that imposing boundaries is an act of war. However, in ancient wisdom, we learn that a boundary is the fence that protects your garden. Without it, anyone can trample on your flowers. As Carl Jung's psychology reminds us, that which we do not bring to consciousness as a limit becomes our fate in the form of abuse or neglect. Setting boundaries isn't aggressiveness. It is self-respect. It is an act of peace with yourself, an acknowledgement that your energy is sacred. When you fail to set that barrier out of fear of appearing bad, you are, in fact, being unfair to your own essence. Everything you do not cut will grow. If you tolerate disrespect once, it stops being the other person's mistake and becomes your standard of coexistence. This neglect of one's own space doesn't happen all at once. It is silent and persistent, resembling the fate of one who doesn't notice the temperature of their own life rising until movement becomes impossible. How does the acceptable destroy us bit by bit? It's the concept of the frog in boiling water. If we throw a frog into boiling water, it jumps out, but if we heat it slowly, it dies without noticing. We don't break all at once. We wear ourselves down by accepting small delays, small insults, and a lack of effort from others until our identity disappears. Your biology responds to your spirituality. Accepting mediocre patterns drains your life force and silences your intuition. On the path of reconnection and emotional healing, it is necessary to identify these small increases in temperature before your soul loses its sensitivity. The emptiness you feel is often not a lack of something. It is the excess of things and people you should never have let in. Often, we allow these entries in exchange for an apparent calm, a security that soothes the fear of conflict but charges an invisible and extremely high rent on our mental health. What do you gain when you accept the mediocre? A temporary security, a cowardly silence that avoids immediate conflict. But what you lose is your future and your soul. Accepting toxic environments or people who diminish you has a high rent, paid with your mental health and your time, the only currency that cannot be recovered. As the philosopher Seneca preached in Stoicism, it is not that we have little time, but that we lose a lot of it on what doesn't matter. By tolerating the little, you signal to the quantum field that the little is your limit. The spiritual truth is that you are a co-creator. If you settle for the rough draft, the universe will never deliver the masterpiece. But there comes a moment when the soul grows tired of drafts. A discomfort then arises that is not a mistake, but the necessary fuel for indignation to transform into the first real step of a deep cleansing. Change doesn't always come from a positive will or a motivational quote. Often, it is born from a negative indignation. You only change when the discomfort of staying where you are becomes greater than the fear of saying no. It is the moment for a life cleaning, where you decide that little is no longer enough to fill your sacred space. Not all pain is punishment. Some are invitations. This pain of feeling underestimated is an invitation for your spiritual awakening. When you stop normalizing what destroys you bit by bit, you open up space for the new to flourish. The seed only breaks its shell when the internal pressure becomes unbearable. Perhaps your current pressure is just the sign that it's time to sprout into a new reality. To ensure this perception is not just a thought, but a seed planted in your biology, I invite you now to silence the external noise and dive into a small ritual of presence. To anchor this transformation, we will perform a short practice of presence. Sit comfortably. Breathe deeply, feeling the air as a breath of clarity. Imagine that around you there is a circle of golden light. This circle represents your standard of tolerance. Visualize, now, what you have been accepting that diminishes you. A word, a behavior, an environment. With a gentle movement of your hands, as if you were waving away smoke, say mentally, "I honor my journey, but I no longer accept what erases me." Feel the relief of letting go of that invisible knot. The universe listens to you when you learn to listen to yourself. Your reality is made of what you accept. What if the pain you feel today is, in fact, your soul trying to protect you from a mediocre future? What if the no you fear saying is the key that opens the portal to the life you have always sought? If these words touched something inside you, perhaps it is time to take one more step on this path of reuniting with your inner truth. Subscribe to the channel and turn on notifications to continue receiving content that nurtures the soul with presence and authenticity. Share in the comments what resonated with your heart. Your story might be the mirror someone else needed to find. If you are looking for a safe harbor, know that our community is the sanctuary where fertile silence is shared and deepened. Enjoy the posts on the channel. And to keep expanding this field of presence, we suggest the video that is pinned in the card. May it be a source of inspiration on your journey. Peace and light.